depending on the month, Elon Musk has been worth well over $200 billion. That's more than the GDP of most countries. But this is not a fan video about rockets and electric cars. This is a breakdown of the wealth system he used to turn a few million into giant ownership stakes in multiple trillion-dollar industries. By the end of this video, you won't just know his story. You'll see the blueprint underneath it, and which parts you can actually copy without needing to build a rocket company. Let's start where almost every overnight success really begins. One small, kind of boring business that prints the first serious money. (1995). Elon is 24. He and his brother Kimball moved to Silicon Valley with about $28,000 in family money. They launch a startup called Zip2. Think of it as early Google Maps meets online Yellow Pages, helping newspapers put local business listings and maps on the web. They literally sleep in the office and shower at the YMCA to save money. Classic grind story. But here's the part that matters for his wealth system. In 1996, a venture capital firm, Moore Davidal Ventures, invests about $3 million. As part of that deal, Elon is pushed aside as CEO and becomes CTO. He loses control of the role, but keeps a big chunk of equity. Fast forward. In 1999, Compaq buys Zip2 for roughly $307 million in cash. Elon's share? Around $22 million. Lesson 1 in the Musk Wealth System. Job titles are fragile. Equity is what survives. With about $22 million from Zip2, most people would chill. Elon rolls the dice again. In 1999, he puts roughly $10 to $12 million into a new company, X.com, an online bank. They offer sign-up bonuses, email payments, all the stuff banks now copy. In 2000, X.com merges with a competitor, Confinity, which has a product called PayPal. The merger is messy. Later that year, while Elon is literally on his honeymoon, the board votes to replace him as CEO. Again. But just like Zip2, he holds on to a big equity stake. In 2002, eBay buys PayPal in an all-stock deal worth about $1.5 billion. Elon, the largest shareholder, walks away with an estimated $160 to $180 million. Twice pushed out as CEO, twice walks away with more money. He's not optimizing for status. He's optimizing for asymmetric bets. Here's where his story stops looking like a normal tech founder. Instead of diversifying, Elon concentrates. He takes most of that PayPal money, roughly $180 million, and pours it into 3 bets: Tesla, electric cars; SpaceX, rockets; Solar City, solar energy. He has said that by 2008, he'd put so much into these companies that he had to borrow money for rent. Most rich people get safer as they get wealthier. Musk did the opposite. High concentration, high conviction, insane risk tolerance. 2008 is a horror movie for Tesla. The financial crisis hits. The first cars are delayed and way over budget. Tesla is weeks, sometimes days, from running out of cash. That same year, Elon steps in as CEO. He stakes his remaining money to keep both Tesla and SpaceX alive. In 2010, Tesla finally IPOs at $17 a share, valuing the company at just over $1.5 billion. At that point, Elon's net worth is in the low billions. Impressive, but nowhere near the heights we think of now. As Tesla scales manufacturing, launches the Model S, Model 3, and expands globally, the market eventually values the company at over $1 trillion at its peak in 2021. Because Elon kept a huge equity stake, his Tesla shares alone were worth well over $150 billion at that peak. This is the core pattern. Small salary, massive upside in stock. But Tesla is only half of the story that makes his net worth explode. Back to 2002 for a second. Before Tesla, he puts around $100 million of his own money into starting SpaceX. From 2006 to 2008, the first 3 rocket launches fail. By the third failure, SpaceX is almost out of money. One more failure and it's probably game over. In September 2008, the 4th launch finally reaches orbit. That success leads to key NASA contracts. Over the next decade, SpaceX becomes the go-to company for commercial launches and builds Starlink, its own satellite internet network. Because SpaceX is private, we don't get exact daily valuations, but in the 2020s, multiple funding rounds have reportedly valued SpaceX at over $100 billion. SpaceX shows his favorite move: go into a capital-intensive industry people think is impossible, survive the near-death phase, then own the infrastructure once it's working. In 2022, Elon does something even his fans think is crazy. He quietly builds a stake in Twitter, then offers $54.20 per share to buy the whole company, a deal worth about $44 billion. By October 2022, the deal closes. He takes it private, fires top executives, cuts a big chunk of staff, and eventually rebrands the platform to X. Advertisers pull back, internal valuations reportedly fall well below the purchase price. On paper, this has probably been his worst investment so far. But zoom out. Tesla gives him transportation and batteries. SpaceX gives him rockets and satellite internet. X gives him a global attention and distribution platform. That's not just an investment, that's control over how information and products move. Strip out the celebrity and look at the system underneath this story. He never tried to max out a paycheck. He kept his cash output low and put his chips into upside. Zip2, X.com, Tesla, SpaceX, X. Your version of that might be equity in a startup instead of just a higher salary, owning your own small business, building digital products or assets that can scale. He didn't put 5% into Tesla and 5% into SpaceX. He shoved almost everything into a few bets. That level of concentration is not for everyone. For most people, some diversification makes sense. But if you want outlier results, there's almost always a period where you are very concentrated in one skill, one niche, one main project. He doesn't chase short-term trends. Cars and batteries, rockets and satellite networks, a global communication platform. These are things other businesses and governments depend on. That's why the upside is so huge. Where in your life are you building something people depend on, not just something they occasionally like? None of this matters if you die in 2008 with 3 failed rockets and a bankrupt car company. The pattern you see with big entrepreneurs is they manage to survive when everything looks dead. For you, that might mean having a runway of savings, keeping your skills sharp so you can always earn, starting small enough that a failure doesn't wipe you out. You don't need to copy Elon Musk's risk tolerance, or his lifestyle, or his Twitter habits. But if you understand the system behind his wealth, asymmetric bets, focused ownership, building infrastructure, and surviving the near-death moments, you can start designing your own version of a wealth machine, one decision at a time. If you liked this breakdown, I'm turning this into a full playlist on how different entrepreneurs actually built their fortunes. Not the myths, the real systems. So subscribe if you want more of that.